everybody. Welcome back to Sarah's Table. Pew, pew, pew. Unclear if these are finger guns today or like finger wands. I don't know. I'm doing like a magical thing today, which is very exciting. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Moore. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome back to my table. I'm going to be your host today and your GM and your player, and your favorite person. I'm going to remind you to have some water. You're probably dehydrated. I know I am perpetually dehydrated, so water time for everybody. I'll wait. Well done. Feeling good. Feeling good here. It is starting to feel like spring here in the Chicagoland area. It was like 60 degrees earlier this week. I've spent a lot of time outside doing walks, feeling real good about it. And this week, you may have noticed I am all by myself today. There is nobody else here. I'm going to be walking you through a game called Covens of Midnight, which is a solo journaling RPG that uses tarot cards to determine what is happening in the game. I love tarot cards. I think they're really beautiful as art, and I really love them just in general. Tarot cards, oracle cards, those sort of things. And I jumped on it when I got the opportunity. They just recently wrapped a Kickstarter, and they are getting ready to, I believe, I'm going to double check, but I believe that you can pre-order on BackerKit for them still, so you can get in on it. They are racing towards the finish line, trying to get all their art done and getting ready to go. This game was created by Ash A, and the game itself, you are a student at like a magical academy, and you spend the whole year like you do something every day. And I think when it comes down to it, I think math wise it's like 170 entries. Maybe a little bit more than that. It's broken up into like trimesters. You do these 3 sections of school before you finish, and there are mechanics all still based on your tarot cards, on like midterms and finals, and there's festivals and events that you do. And I'm super excited to dive into it. So as you know, for folks who have watched this show before, I'm really big on safety and comfort here on the show, and I think that extends to you as my audience. So even though I am here by myself and I know I'm not going to cross any lines, I am going to do a quick safety discussion because that is important, even for those at home who are watching, so you know what you're getting into. Here on Sarah's Table, you will never find sexual violence, violence against children, or withholding food as punishment or starvation. And so we are, basically a PG-13 kind of a show. I would categorize my show as like what you would find in young adult fiction, where you might be able to get into some heavier topics, but probably nothing too terribly graphic. So let that guide you. So I've been communicating with Ash about this game. Super jazzed about it. One of the things is that the art is not done. So they will have a tarot deck that you can use with it, but it is not finished yet. And so for those of you who end up not buying that tarot deck, because it's an upcharge, or for folks like me who are giving it a shout out before it is officially done, you can use any tarot deck that you have. It is all it all maps to a traditional tarot deck. I am using this cat tarot that I have by Bunny D. And it's pretty adorable. It's my thing. And I don't know what your beliefs are about tarot. Um, but if it's something that you hold very dearly and you are now using this tarot deck in a game setting, which is what it is not normally used for, um, there's no, there's, so maybe just like ask it if that's okay, if that's a thing that you believe in. Just sort of like let it know your intentions. I know that a lot of people are very attached to their particular tarot decks. So just like do what you need to do to be comfortable using it for this kind of recreation, what is not intended for. Um, since I mentioned that this particular game tends to go, it's, like it would be 170 entries. I clearly am not going to have you sit here and I will not have time to do all of those entries today. But I am going to lead us through character creation. And in that character creation, we build our scribe. We also build our scribe's best friend, and we also build our scribe's rival. Both of those characters sort of have a big impact on how you play the game and how things happen. And they have mechanical effects sort of later in the game and how your story is crafted. So we're going to do that. We're going to build everybody, and then I am going to, depending on time, lead us through either 1 or 2 days. You tend to draw 5 cards for your day, which could be a very quick day depending on what you draw, and could be a very long day. So we'll have to see. But we're going to start at the top. Character sheet is 4 pages long. It's pretty well laid out. It's easy to follow because you have your scribe. This is your character. And then page 2 is all about your best friend. And then page 3 is all about your rival. And then page 4 is how you can track your events that are happening and what is going on throughout your semester. There's a 5th page that is a journal page. But it's literally just the day number at the top and then a place for you to write. Because of the amount of writing that you're probably going to do, it makes a lot of sense, I think, to me, for you to get like an actual journal. You're going to be doing, almost 200 pages worth of it. And that's only if you're doing one day or one page per day, like if you end up getting more. So you know how much I love stationery. So if I am going to end up doing like a full playthrough of this game, which probably because it looks dope, I'll probably have to go buy myself a new journal for it. Oh no, what will happen? It's fine. I'm very excited. All right. So in order to do our character creation, we have to have our tarot deck divided up into cups, wands, pentacles, swords, and arcana. Because of the way that we do it, we're going to be drawing from particular decks in order to get particular things. Once we go into gameplay itself, for most of the time, everything is going to be shuffled together. You apparently there are specific times, in those instances like finals and midterms and that stuff, you kind of separate back out again. But we're all separated out. I did it. I am going to shuffle in front of you so that you know that I've done nothing beforehand. So the first thing we do, let's dive in. First thing we do is choose our gender and our pronouns. I'm super comfortable staying with she, her. So that's where I'm going to go. Oh, not a spot on the character sheet. So I will just write it off to the side. She, her. And so now we're into our first set of tables. We start with the name. start by selecting a name that embodies your character's spirit. So we're going to be drawing from decks to find out what our origin is for our first name. And then there are some examples. And then we'll draw from another deck to see what our surname is. All right. So first we start with cups. And we're going to determine, here we go, doing some of this, what our origin is. There's Elven, Fae, Dwarven, Infernal, Drakarian, Elemental, and Celestial. So I have drawn the Page of Cups, and that is an elemental origin. Elemental. All right, putting a little note. The examples that are there are Galvin or Lumi. We'll go with Lumi. I'm going to go with what's here in it. Lumi sounds like a fun one. And now we're going to check to see what our surname is. There's a note that if I had drawn Inferni origin, probably would only have a singular name. But because I drew elemental, we're going to have a last name. And I am supposed to be drawing from the wands. So let's get these shuffled up for us. All right, let's see. The 3 of wands. Oh, wild. Okay, so the 3 of wands is also elemental. So I'm double elemental. And one of the examples that is there is Storm Bearer. And I kind of love that. Lumi Storm Bearer. Maybe that's because I have a character that is she's a tabaxi, and she is in my home D&D campaign, and her name is Storm on the Horizon. So I have a special affinity for storm imagery. Okay, we've named her. We've done it. Now we're going to check out our background, and we're going to be drawing from our swords deck in order to do our background. And there's a big table, and this one is much more involved than the previous ones. So the previous ones were like a single word, essentially. And this has a paragraph next to each one. So I've done it. Background, here we go. The 5 of Swords. Here is what it says. Your life in the village of Arwinter was disrupted by an accident that took a loved one away. This event solidified your desire to master the arcane to ensure no such tragedy befalls others. Who did you lose, and how do you remember them as you step into the academy? I think that Lumi had a younger brother. I know we said no violence against children, but I'm not going to be describing in detail anything that has happened. I think she had a younger brother, and I think that there was maybe a fire. And she felt pretty powerless. And so I think in her mind, if she could have just been able to harness a power of either fire to control it or water to counter it, that she feels like she could have helped and she couldn't help at the time. And so I think I think that she is hopeful that she can stop that sort of thing in the future. And like obviously I think that she is having a rough time of it. I think she blames herself. The fire was not her fault, but I think it's pretty hard to do deal with something that formative at a young age and not feel responsible, sort of like that survivor's guilt kind of a thing. All right. We're moving on to our stats, initial attributes, and Paragon. All novices, that's what we are, all novices of the Midnight Court commence their journey with a base score of 5 in theoretical knowledge, which is your book smarts. A base score of 5 in your practical application, which is your field smarts. So brains, body. And then a base score of 0 in your Paragon influence. And each of these stats are going to apply a modifier when you take your end of semester exams. So as we are working on things and going through our day to day, depending on what cards we draw, there will be things that adjust your base score for practical, theoretical, and Paragon. And every time you go up 3 points, you gain a +1 when you make your skills check at the end of the semester. And this is how you pass or fail your class. So essentially, if you spend a bunch of more time studying, you're probably going to be better at your theoretical knowledge. If you spend a bunch of time fighting with your rival or doing like very physical acts, you're going to be better at your practical application. We'll see what happens, but everybody starts with 5, 5, and 0. Okay, we are going to draw from the Arcana pile, and we're going to figure out what our Paragon is. This is the Paragon is like your patron, the where you got your magical ability from. Here we go. Okay, shuffle it all up. I'm gonna draw. I have to have it open over here because each of the Arcana has a number sort of associated with it, and that is what is happening. That's how we have it here. All right, so justice. I need to look down and see what number. Justice is 8. Justice. And so I got my powers from Mora, Eye of the Void. None of these sound like super cuddly. Like they're all pretty, they're entities that can give you a bunch of power. And there is a demand table, which I'm going to get to later, and it's going to tell us what they asked of me in exchange for giving me power. Seems like a problem. Sure, it won't come up. I'm sure everything's going to be great. Let's do that. Let's do that now. Okay. Okay. What is the Paragon's demand? The Hermit. Seek out a lost wisdom or mage, bringing them or their knowledge under the Paragon's influence. Oh, okay. So it's not just finding this lost mage, this person, but it's also like bringing them in All right. Goodness me. I'm gonna make a note of that under my character portrait. I am not a very good artist. There are spaces on here to like sketch your character out, which I think is really cool. I'm just very bad at that. It would be stick figures. So I'm gonna put here hermit, find a mage, bring him to Mora. I will know what that means. All right. It is time to craft our best friend. So Lumi is essentially done at this moment, but I do have to come up with a couple of other things for her in order to play the game. Next is best friend. Ba, ba, ba. Okay, so we're going to do the same, sort of the same process. We're going to draw for names. We're going to draw a cup, and then we're going to draw a wand. So first name and origin. Let's find out. Beep, 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 beep. You guys like my little weird noises? Beep, 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 beep. Ace of Cups. Okay. So we have an elven origin. Ace of Cups. Calum. Let's start with that. Their name is Calum. I'm going to have them be they, them. And then their surname. Got to head over into my wands. Seven of Wands is surname attribute is magical artifacts. So they are named Calum Runestone. Love that. See, what else do we find out? What is our background connection? Right? It's another wand draw. Two of Wands. Two of Wands. They are a childhood friend from my hometown. Which was, oh, I didn't write it down. D. I know the answer. It started with an A. Our winter. You knew that. Our winter. And there's a lovely map in here that like tells you where everything is. And it's really nice. Our winter. So I think, Calum was around when Lumi lost her brother. And I think people can sort of bond over tragedy, or they sort of show their true colors, right? During tragedy times. And so if Calum was really there for Lumi and continued to be there even while they were struggling, even while she was struggling with so much family upheaval and loss, that can really bond you together. What is a defining trait of your friend? We're going to draw a cups card to determine what their personality is. Six of Cups, enthusiastic and always up for an adventure. I can absolutely already see this person. Just like the biggest hype man They are the person that you go to when you're like, oh, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. And they will give you the reaction that you are looking for. All right, we're going to grab our pentacles back of what is left of it. We're sort of going through, and I have not reset anything each time. These are all the ones that we have used in the build. We get to find out what their quirk or habit, something peculiar about them. Queen of Pentacles. So Calum has an ethereal pet that they converse with. Well, that's so fun. Let me see. Has an ethereal pet. All right, so we get to give them a pet. I'm gonna flesh out this pet right now. I think that I would love for it to be, I mean, obviously there are cats everywhere in front of me. And so like my brain thinks maybe a cat, but I don't think just a regular cat. I would love for it to be some sort of like a big cat. I think maybe a jaguar. One of the big cats, but not one of the like big giant cats. It's a sort of one of the smaller of the big cats. I think it's a jaguar. And I think her name is Jaguar. What are good names for like, well, so a lot of times I do like floral names with the language of flowers. That's sort of my current way of naming people and characters. So flower that means loyalty. Let's see what that is when I look it up. Gladiolus. All right. Well, I'm gonna take a little snippet of that from the middle. I'm going to say that the jaguar's name is Diolus, and Calum calls her Dio. So Dio is around a lot, and that they converse with. I don't know yet if Dio can speak English. I feel like maybe it's a bond that they can communicate, maybe through pictures, but like they probably speak and make noises. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited about it already. Secret ambition. Everyone harbors a secret dream. What is your friend's hidden aspiration? We're going to go to our swords deck. We're going to see what happens. Seven of Swords. Wants to mend bridges between conflicting magical communities. Wow. That's a big one. I think that this is probably a situation where mom and dad came from different communities. And I think dad chose to stay in mom's community, and it made him be kind of exiled from that other place. I think this feels like a very kind of tribal situation. Like the magical communities are very separated and they stay apart. And so Calum wants to mend that for his dad to keep their father from having to continually choose to exile himself from his family and his community. I love that as I am putting this together, I haven't even started gameplay, but I'm really already building in so much of different conflicts that I can grab onto as a storyteller. I think that's really great. All right, Calum is done. Lumi and Calum, best friends forever. Hopefully, I think that there's a chance that things could go sideways. Um, but at the start of this year, super best friends. Okay, next we're going to be building Lumi's rival. And whenever I'm going to draw a card that says I'm going to be doing any kind of combat, it is always with my rival. And you collect things that are called sparks, which are moments of super deep connection with your rival. And the more spark points that you collect, the like deeper your relationship gets with your rival. And you have the opportunity, should you want, to do an enemies to lovers kind of thing. If you don't want to do that, it's very specific in there that you can reflavor it just so that you are friends. It could be more platonic, but I think it seems like it is originally designed so that you start out with this rival and then at the end you could potentially be smooching. Who doesn't love that? So we are going to, again, start with names. Let's start with that cup. Do, 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 do. Queen of Cups. Elemental origin. Oh, well, that makes sense. Then my rival would be another elemental origin. And the names, let's do Arya. And let's do our surname as well. Wands. Back into the wand pile. Be interesting if it was another double elemental, but I don't know if that's going to happen. 5 of Wands. Oh, what a fun card. The cat is showing up as the smoke. Love that. 5 of Wands is an animal. So name is Arya Ravenbeak. And they, all right, get a spark. Every rivalry has a spark. What ignited your interest in them? Put down in my additional notes, elemental and animal. Okay, so now there's an origin of the rivalry itself, and we're going to check out the swords because that makes a lot of sense. Eight of Swords. 8 of Swords. They publicly challenged one of your achievements. Okay. All right. So Lumi, upon entering this, I think scored highest on the entry exams. And maybe it's of the class, but maybe it's also like in a couple of years. And that has been circulating. And Arya doesn't believe that's true. And um and has been telling everybody that she can find. that that is just not the case. Let's see what their secret ambition is. We're checking out back into the Wands deck. Page of Wands aspires to embark on a grand magical expedition. This gives me a little of Annabeth from Percy Jackson. And they were pretty tempestuous with each other as well. I'm watching the new show with my kids. Percy Jackson has always been big in our house, and so that's why that like was pretty top of mind for me. Time to go on a journey. Just keeps looking for a quest, which I get. You always want to have something cool to look for. Source of power. Behind every rival's prowess lies a unique source of strength, but your rival is strange. You feel an affinity to them almost as if you are bound together. Who do they gain their power from? Let's check out the pentacles. We haven't done in here in a while. Do, do, do. Ba, 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 ba. Three of Pentacles, a pact with a minor mystical entity. I guess not everybody is getting it from a paragon, but this kind of feels like they also have a paragon. But it's only a minor mystical entity. I think that it is a djinn that has given them their power. And they also have a hidden fear. Back into our cups. Ten of Cups, fear of the unknown aspects of magic. I think it makes a lot of sense if they have this power from this djinn and they don't really understand how it works. They don't have a magical tradition. They don't know why it works. And so to have all of this happening sort of through her and by her, I could understand her being kind of afraid of that. And, you know, a lot of times when you have a lot of fear like that, it manifests as anger. It manifests itself as being kind of combative and a bully. That's how they are trying to fight it. And so I think that makes a lot of sense for her. So, all right, here we go. We've got Lumi and her best friend, Caleb, and her rival, Arya. Let's see. I think we built everybody. Oh, I do need to find out which coven I am in. So at the school, the coven, it is in 4 covens. There are 4 covens that you can be a part of. And I truly think they're all really cool. And so I am just going to, they don't have a drawing for this. So I am going to roll a d4. This is not part of the rules, but I was leaving everything else up to chance. So I would like to leave this up to chance as well. So I'm going to roll a d4 and I'm going to see which coven I end up in. I rolled a 2, which takes me down to the Temporia. Core values: wisdom, patience, perspective. and the eternal phoenix. Our coven motto is through history, all is revealed. I have I have rolled, which I think is very funny. I have rolled the one that is more knowledge based. I value lessons of history, insights of the past, thoughtful contemplation of the future. You are measured, strategic, drawing upon the wealth of knowledge passed down through generations. This is like truly interesting to me because that is sort of how I identify as a person. I make a lot of lists. I like to research things out before I do it, like helps my anxiety a whole lot. So I have a couple of traits here that you get. Scribes have an innate wisdom. They often are sought for advice by peers. I am patient and strategic. And you get a little blessing. You have a house blessing that's called time's favor. And I get +1 practical application outcomes on cups events, which are personal reflections. So that represents the house's emphasis on learning from past mistakes. All right, so +1 to practical cups. And then there is a drawback because it's balanced out. So you get -1. Oh no, -1 to draws in combat encounters. As their cautious nature can hinder direct action. Yikes. All right. Thank you. Don't really have a place to put that on my character sheet. I would really love to put that somewhere. Oh, I guess it's up here under house. House Temporia. Okay. Right. Yeah. I'm just sort of figuring out exactly where everything goes. Making a little note here. This is Calum is my best friend. Putting it on the front here. There's a place to write your rival, Arya. There is a section called the Paragons in here that have banes and boons, but my Paragon, Mora, here we go, got them. Let's take a little spin through what's going on with Mora. Eye of the Void. Beyond the stars and the voids of space, Mora slumbers in the deep cosmos, an entity of incomprehensible power and knowledge. Mora's motivations are alien and her whispers maddening. He appears to unfortunate souls as a singular eye held together by shadowy tendrils. Bearers tethered to Mora can tap into forbidden knowledge and command eldritch powers, but the cost is their sanity and an ever-present feeling of being watched by countless eyes. Well, that sounds terrible, but also makes a lot of sense that Mora would be the one that would be giving Lumi her power and then ending up in Temporia, which is the House of Knowledge. So there's a boon. Once per exam, you may draw 2 cards and select your favored outcome. Wow, that's pretty great. It does, however, increase your Paragon influence by 2. Which once you reach a certain part, that's very bad. And you're going to have to like siphon some of that off. I don't think I'm going to get to any of that today because I'm not getting to any exams or anything. But long play, you have to be very careful about about balancing your Paragon influences. And then the Bane is Great Old Mind. When overwhelmed, eldritch visions plague your thoughts for 3 days, leading to a state of unease. Wow. For the next 3 days, you lose one in both theoretical and practical, and draw one less card during daily events. Ah, it's big. You can only do 4 things. It's like you've run out of spoons because there's these eldritch visions, and you cannot possibly do all 5 things during the day. You can only do 4 things, and everything is hindered. -1 to theoretical and practical. Yikes! For 3 days. At least it's only 3 days. Hopefully that doesn't activate. Okay, so that Paragon Bane only activates if the influence reaches 10. And then after that 3 days have passed, you can attempt to purge some of the influence. So it just keeps building up until it's like, uh-oh, too much, and then you do it. Get rid of it. Okay. And then there's ways for you to purge it, but I don't think we're gonna have to do that. Fingers crossed that we don't have to do that because it seems wild. Okay, so now listen. Hey, we did it. We have made our person. We have made our scribe. We have made all of their stuff. Best friend, rival, paragon. I've got all of their stats all set out. We're at 0 spark points to start because we haven't done anything. And now we're going to need to go in here. We're going to do a day. Let's do a day. And I'm going to shuffle this all up because everything is still pretty divided. And I want to give us a lot of opportunity to try different things. And they made a note that we should be, for the first 5 in-game days, so for the first 25 cards that we draw out of this deck for journaling prompts, that you remain unshuffled. In this way, you're really able to make sure that you aren't just like accidentally doing the exact same thing day in and day out. So as I am shuffling, I'm going to just go over this. Each game day, you draw 5 tarot cards, determine the events and challenges you face. They will reveal to you in the form of writing prompts, and you could be doing duels, you could be doing lessons, lots of different ways of doing it. There are essentially sort of 5-ish categories because of the fact that you're drawing from 5 different kinds of cards, Arcana and the Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles. Oh, Page of Cups wanted to come out. And we're going to be checking it all out. So I think 2 of Swords. This is what happens when I shuffle tarot decks. My hands are pretty small. I have a hard time keeping it all in there. And so one will just pop out every once in a while. And usually, if that is something that I'm trying to do, Ace of Wands, it usually means that is a thing that I'm supposed to pay attention to, because that's a very sort of tarot lore, is that if a card hops out of your deck, it's something you're supposed to be paying attention to. I'm not doing a reading right now for myself or anyone else. So I'm so sorry. So sorry, tarot deck. I don't know. I don't know if that's important. We'll find out. All right. Here we go. I don't know if we're going to get into combat, but there is a section on combat and how you determine the winner. Just going to make a quick note. I'll need to go back to page 47. That is what happens. But let's go down and go to our activities. We are in the first semester, and it is an introduction to the magical realm and the basics of the arcane. And this would be 55 days. So it'll be 55 journal entries. Well, 55 days of journal entries, however you decide to do that. And the themes are discovery, innocence, and first experiences. Also, at the end of this first semester, we are going to be doing mock exams. We don't get to midterms until second semester, but this time you do a little try. Okay, here we go. I need to go down to not festivals, although I love festivals. Okay, so semester 1, here we go. I'm going to draw my 5 cards. Day 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I drew the Lovers, Magician, King of Cups, 8 of Wands, and 5 of Cups. All right. All of these also have mechanical things, and they're not always positive. You can lose numbers on your practical, or your theoretical. Okay, I'm already on 1, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to start with my 8 of Wands. You are praised for quick thinking during a magical mishap. I get to add 1 to my theoretical knowledge. We're at 6. Love that. I think that this is probably something to do with fire. I think that Lumi is very keyed in to what happens with fire because of her background. And so I think she and Caleb were in, let's say, like a potion class, and Caleb enthusiastically combined a couple of ingredients that created a magical burst of fire. And Lumi absolutely would have done a bunch of research on how to combat magical fire. She's probably read all of the books more times than is necessary, I think. And she knew to add an ingredient that would dampen that fire magically. And so she was able to put the fire out before it spread. And the teacher was impressed with her. And so she was sort of given points, which I'm sure didn't love. I think Arya didn't love that, but that's okay. We're fine. So we've added. We don't have any swords. Swords is all combat. So it makes a lot of sense to me that she would not be delving into that on day 1. She's a lover, not a fighter. We also don't have any pentacles. Pentacles is mystic crafting, which I'm interested in. Cups is personal reflection. We have 2 cups here. We're going to start with our 5 of Cups. Relationship between magic and nature inspires a sustainable approach to magic use. I get to add 1 to my practical. I think everybody here in this school has access to their own little plot of garden so that you can grow your ingredients. And not everybody does it, but I think Lumi finds it particularly calming. And so she spends sort of her downtime. She, like I said, has done a bunch of research. And so I think she has planted several things that she thinks is going to be very beneficial for her. And I think Calum doesn't like Calum likes nature, but it's much more animal based. And so they sort of like ignore their garden, and it is next to, so it is next to Lumi's. And I think they've given them permission, like, I'm not going to do it. You go ahead. And so Lumi happily sort of, with the idea that she's also going to be helping Calum in the future. She knows their quirks and how much trouble they get into, and so she plants theirs with things to help with, you know, like soothing magical burns or antidotes, a lot of antidotes to things. So she is able to do that, and she's building her little empire. Also got the King of Cups. Oh no. Oh wait, hold on. That's maybe not, it's a +1 to practical with cup straws because of my house. I don't know if that means that it bumps me up. Oh no, it gives me an extra +1 to practical. Okay, so that was a cup straw, so I get +7. I mean 7 instead of 5 because it's a +1 practical to what I had drawn, plus an extra practical from my house. So that bumped me up too. The King of Cups. Your moment of clarity during a period of reflection leads to a pivotal realization about your magical path, yet it demands a significant change in approach. That's -2 to practical. But because of where it's at, I think it means it's only -1 because I get +1 to my practical. So bumps me back down to 6. But I think this is the classic I have discovered that you can't just do everything on the books. Books aren't living. Books tell you about living, but you need to be able to get out there and do it. You can't be stuck in your book all the time. You and perhaps things are scarier to her than she is willing to admit. Reading about a dragon and knowing what to do against them is different than seeing a dragon. I'm yeah, I've been getting caught up on Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and listen, Godzilla is real big, and I think it's that moment of like, you can do all the research you want, but when you are faced with a giant creature, it's a lot different. And so she's realizing that she cannot just stay behind a book. All right, and then we have a couple major arcanas, which is exploration. So we have the Magician and the Lovers. The Magician, in the Chamber of Elements, you weave magic with newfound finesse, drawing from the raw energies that bind the world. +2 theoretical. Back into the books, yo. Because Lumi was able to do so much drawing or so much reading and research prior to getting to the school. She was inside the Chamber of Elements. And perhaps with her realization just prior about how everything is not in books, she took a chance and she got up and she started weaving in a way with her hands, like she started feeling it in her body. And she started like plucking the air out, the moisture out of the air when she needed it, and the heat when she needed it, and was able to really tap into it in a way that she didn't realize that she could do. She's very excited about it. And so were her teachers. Probably not her rival so much, but she's sort of finding her way. Not bad for first day. The lovers in the enchanted glade. A bond strengthens under moonlight, though distraction from your path comes with closeness. Okay. I got a spark point with Arya. And I lost a practical. Back down to 5 for my practical application. Under moonlight. This was definitely after everybody was supposed to be in bed. But Lumi really wanted to go collect some, or at least see some of this particular flower that only blooms under moonlight. And so she snuck out, and it turns out that Arya was feeling a little homesick and was also out seeking this same flower, but for a different purpose. It has medicinal uses, and Lumi was really interested in that, but they grow where Arya lives, and Arya was feeling a little lost, and so snuck out. And they saw each other in the enchanted glade, and they had this like moment of bonding over both having the elemental background and missing home and wanting to succeed here and make people proud of them. And because of that, they kind of had a little moment, maybe the first blush of a little romantic thought between the two of them. Yeah. Of course, the next day it will not be spoken of, because how could you? When you're in a magical school and you're sort of a young teenager, I think nobody knows how to deal with their stuff or their emotions or their hormones. So obviously there's going to be a problem. We're going to do one more day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got the 10 of Pentacles, 3 of Wands, the 4 of Pentacles, Justice, and the Hermit. Okay. We are starting down at our exploration. We're already down here in the Major Arcana. We're going to do it. So, the Hermit. Seeking the Hermit's peak for solitude, introspection brings enlightenment, yet distances you from those you know. Okay, the Hermit. Which, by the way, if you remember, was the card that I drew about what my Paragon wanted me to do in exchange for my power. I think it freaked Lumi out the night before about like having this connection with Arya. And I think first thing in the morning, very early before classes, she goes up and she sits down with herself in Hermit's Peak. I think that's probably a spot that you can go to, sort of like a temple-y kind of thing where everybody's supposed to be quiet and like go away. I think it's probably not used a ton, especially by first years, because that's why would you even know about that? But because Lumi has done so much reading, she knows everything about the school. So she heads up there and she has a little bit of moment, like, what do I do with my feelings and how do I deal with this? She gets +2 to theoretical because, of course, she does, as what she's very good at book knowledge. We are good at the book smarts. We are not good at the people smarts. And she just reminds herself why she's there. She wants very much to gain enough power and knowledge that she is not going to let these tragedies happen to her family anymore, which obviously is misguided and she probably needs therapy, but she's young and this is how we're going to do it. All right. Justice. In the halls of equity, a decision demands your judgment, balancing fairness with the harsh realities of consequence. She has an opportunity to snitch on Arya. They know that somebody else was out of bed, but they can't figure out who it was that had broken curfew. And they know she had broken curfew. And Headmaster gives her an opportunity to not be punished if she turns in Arya. But she remembers the spark and she remembers the connection, and she does not want to do that to her. So she gets punished instead. And Arya gets off scot-free. Takes one away from her theoretical. These change so drastically throughout the day, friends. Like each day, they're going up and down really heavily. So now Arya kind of owes her, which I think she hates. We have no cups, no personal reflection. We've got pentacles today. Got 2 pentacles, 4 and 10. 4 of Pentacles is you discover an efficient way to organize your crafting materials. Oh, first of all, practical goes up by 1. I think the joke is that Sarah's love language is both to-do lists and organization, because I just love everything having its place. And so this feels like so satisfying to me. I have all of these crafting materials. Lumi has all of these crafting materials that she needs to deal with all the time. And I mean, she probably has figured out like the perfect size little boxes. And it's so satisfying to like put everything in, and everything is like neatly organized in her space. I think to the like eternal amusement of Caleb, who is just a walking disaster, but knows where everything is. But it's that like I can find everything in this pile that I have made. And Caleb has a little bit of ADHD, but that's okay. 10. Oh no. Okay, 10 of Pentacles. Mismanaging your time leads to a half-finished project. -1 on crafting exam outcome. Make a note of this as it stacks. So I'm going to make a little note that I have currently a -1 on the crafting exam. I think Lumi, I think Lumi can very much get sucked into her own research and maybe spent a little bit too much time organizing her stuff so that everything was easy to get to and then didn't realize what time it was and how close things were. And she didn't finish project, which I'm sure she is going to completely just beat herself up about for ages and ages. So that's okay. It's okay. We're gonna figure it out. It's still early in the semester and there is time to fix it. All right. Wand, still no combat. Not a combat-y kind of person. Lessons. Okay, 3 of Wands. A new spell you attempt backfires embarrassingly. I think this is all an extension of of not finishing that project. That project was supposed to be something that would be stable, that would help stabilize this new spell. And it was supposed to help grow some plants, grow plants quicker. And what ended up happening was she didn't finish it all the way through. She was relying on the fact that she like skimmed the rest of it and was like, it's probably fine. I can do it. And when she let off the spell, it it did grow faster, but not in the way that she was hoping. It kind of like gi giant plant explosion took over the classroom. She was horribly embarrassed about it. Her practical application is down to 4 now, which means she is below where she started. But her theoretical is up to 9 after 2 days. Um, like I said, she's just much better on paper. She understands intellectually how all of these things work, but she just really has a hard time doing it. She's trying her best. But I think that's where I'm going to wrap up today. I really enjoy what's going on here. I think this is really fun. I think I definitely am I'm very interested in doing a more thorough playthrough of this, but it is a time commitment. There is not a fast version of this game because it is a solo game and you can take, however long you want with it. Each day it could take, I don't know, each day, depending on how deep you go into it, is probably 10 to 15 minutes. Because I was doing it in an oral fashion, I was just speaking it out loud. It's going to take a little bit less time. Usually when you have to write it all out, it's going to take you physically just a little bit longer. But, semester 1 is 55 days. And so that's 55 entries times 10 to 15 minutes, plus any of the specials that happen. So, I think I'm really interested in the lore and I like where my character is going, and I'm interested in seeing how that continues. I love that I was able to add a spark point with my rival, even though I did not get to do any combat with her. But yeah, I think this game is really great, and I think you should all check it out, especially if you are a fan of like Harry Potter, and that lore and that genre. It's up to you, don't want to support J.K. Rowling anymore for whatever reason you might have. I think that this is a good way. It really scratches that itch of like that. To me, it absolutely feels like I am doing research for my own like YA magical school novel or world. So I think it's super, super great. And I've seen some of the art, even though it is not done, and it is beautiful. And you should absolutely check it out. I will put a link to the Becker kit in right now over in the chat. Go check it out. It's also going to be in the description of this video so that you can get to it if you are watching later and there is no chat currently. Yeah, but thank you to Ash A for making this game and for using such loving language. I feel like it's laid out really well. It's easy to follow. It is a good intro. And I love that you used tarot cards because I love tarot cards. All right, so here's the deal. Go buy the game. Do you want me to wait? I'll wait. Go do it. Did we do it? Great. Okay. And if you play it, please let me know how it went. And like tell the folks who made it how it went, because nothing is more exciting as a game designer than like somebody telling you that the thing you made is cool and you love it. So do that. Spread that joy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I would like to thank my team over at Gen Con TV. Thank you to Gen Con for their support and for giving me this platform. And thank you to Peter Atkinson for trusting me to put all of this together and do some wild shenanigans. Thank you to Marcus Mays, who is my tech person at Gen Con TV. Hits that go button. Makes everything run smoothly. Thank you to Jeff Moore, who is my editor and my partner in life and crime. And he is great. Hey, you're great. I love you. Thank you to you at home for watching. If you are a game designer and you have games and you want to see them here on Sarah's Table on Gen Con TV, please, please, please reach out to me. You can find me all over the internet at Pixies and Pins. My website is pixiesandpins.com. I'm here every Friday night on Gen Con TV for Sarah's Table. Next week, we are starting the first of a 2-episode arc of Against the Gloom, which is a game by Scripted Games made by my friend Dustin. And it is about using the power of rock to combat essentially global depression. And it's great. So come check me out there. I'll be here at 5 p.m. Pacific next Friday. Check that out. Otherwise, I hope that you have a wonderful week. Take this little pocket of joy with you. Take it out of your pocket if you need it and just be like, oh, just a little bit of extra rainbows and smiles and calm breathing. And as always, keep making art and keep being art. We will see you next time.